the only thing that matters is understanding the timeless principles. Like you could plug me back in right now. I don't know anything about cookies. I don't know that much about AI. Plug me back in and I will do good work because I understand the importance of positioning and messaging, how to craft a narrative, how to find the right customers, how to get people to pay attention. That stuff matters so much. You had a post about this the other day, this motion or that motion. Like, yeah, those things matter, but they don't matter more than like the offer and the positioning. Exit. Good to see you, dude. Hello. First of all, I got to do a disclaimer. John. Somebody was mad that I always have you on and I recommend you. And to that, I have to say, sorry. It is what it is. And I'm not sorry. In this life, in this business, in this world, you make a couple of friends along the way, and I enjoy hanging out with you. And I enjoy, like, we have families, we have shared interests. We happen to be connected in this space of B2B marketing. I like to have you regularly on the podcast. Somebody sent me a message and they said they don't like how anytime somebody is looking for a recommendation for an agency, I always recommend you and Compound Growth. They were really mad about that. And I'm not laughing to take away from that. I understand that. But I really don't feel bad about it because like you and me go back and I have every right to, like, you're a good person. You do a good job. You do good business. I'm going to keep recommending you. And that it is what it is. Like, I can't remember every agency that, under the sun. And it is unfortunate. Not everybody's going to have a fair chance to be recommended, but I like talking to you, John, and you're going to keep coming back on. And I just want to give that disclaimer. So now if anybody knows, like, be careful if you do want to work with Compound Growth, because I am friends with John, and just heads up. But we go back to starting your first business when you didn't even want to build an agency, when you were just going to be solo John, and I saw you at the Friendly Toast, which we've talked about a bunch of times. So there's the legal disclaimer. That is the conflict of interest statement. Now that we've put that out in the open, we can continue on with this.
Yeah, and to that person, I'd say I'd love to be friends.
Yeah, or like, tell me if you operate a great business, like, feel free to tell me about it. The hard part is just going to be like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with the results. So
yeah, you just asked for a lot of Twitter DMs right there.
Just Twitter. Don't DM me on Twitter. You got new CGM hats. I like that.
CGM hats.
That. Yeah.
We got Carhartt, which was some Carhartt winter hats as well, which is an interesting mix of kind of a blue collar brand and a very remote white collar.
Yeah, it's like
company.
It's like Patrick Cantlay and DeWalt. He has Goldman Sachs and DeWalt as sponsors, and that joke will not land with 1/1000th of this podcast, but that's okay. I'm always just interested. Tell me about your week. What has gone on? What did you do this week at work? I'm interested as a friend. What's your week? What's week been like?
I had a couple of lunch meetings. We just brought on a new head of client services, who I'm not kind of talking about publicly yet, but we just brought someone on there, so was spending a lot of time onboarding them. But it's an interesting time in the company. I've talked about it a little bit with the people inside the company, but I'm kind of like relearning what my role is in the company, because we brought on a chief revenue officer in November, and then this client services person. And up until now, that's been a big part of my job. And so now, it gives me time to kind of focus on different things. So it's been an interesting week, a week of self-reflection. And I was talking to our mutual friend, Chris, about, hey, now I got to figure out where my focus goes next.
Yeah. Chris, I talked to him last week. He's great. Chris Litzer. Chris is like a CEO coach now. And he ran a bunch of the business back in the day when I worked at Constant Contact. I was a very junior marketing person there, and just took a liking to him, and he took a liking to me. And, I got to do skip level meetings with him like once a quarter. And I was always bummed when those you remember that? Like when you got to have a meeting with like a big person and like they would like reschedule it and you're like, oh damn. But like the once a quarter I got to meet with him. It was really cool. He's up in Vermont a lot now. And I had texted you a couple weeks ago because we're doing a lot of things at Exit 5, and I felt like I could use some strategic guidance. And like, now that we're really doing this thing, like, I value our relationship and I like to text you, but having someone who's seen a bunch of things, just, it's lonely and you get trapped in your own head. And so I called him up and we just talked. It was like an hour therapy session and he took great notes and we had a bunch of good ideas come out of that. But it was much like therapy in that, like, there's not a lot that wasn't necessarily new groundbreaking stuff, but I needed to like say it out loud and then like have somebody talk it back to me and understand. And it was really valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a really interesting time at Exit 5, and I'm curious, like, more, like, what were you trying to are you okay to talk about? But what were you trying to get out of the conversation with Chris? Like, what? Because we've texted about it, and I thought I know, and I recommended, like, EOS, and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa."
Well, I guess for me, the biggest thing is, what is the future of the business like look like? And because I see a very clear path that is just like, keep doing what we're doing, keep the things like, have the same structure and just do a little bit more and it will grow a little bit every year. But that's not what I want to do. That's not that's not what I'm that's not that exciting to me. And so I just needed a place to put that. And what he helped me frame is something that I've been actually thinking about a lot, which is and I have no problem. Exit 5 isn't going anywhere. The business is doing great. It's going to continue to grow. We should quite easily double this year, which, I mean, you would hope to do that. It was just me last year. I brought on 2 full-time people and like, yeah, if we didn't double, like, but it's great. Things are going great. I'm happy. Everything's happy. We've doubled the business, reduced my time in the weeds, scaled and automated all of the systems, which is amazing. I mean, as recently as 4 or 5 months ago, I was managing all the podcasts, like post podcast production, pressing upload on a new episode myself, doing all the social, making sure the newsletter goes out, working with sponsors, uh, building more pipeline, figuring out ways to grow the community, making sure, oh my God, I haven't logged in the community in 2 days. Like, I got to go in there and post this stuff. All that stuff is happening. And, we have a team and people, and it's the most amazing feeling. But I just was like, I read this book, 10X is easier than 2X. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. No, I haven't read it, but
Okay.
yeah.
It could be a blog post, no disrespect. My book, Founder Brand, probably could have been a blog post too, so that's okay. But basically the concept is like, it's much easier. It's easier to grow 10X than it is to grow 2X, because 2X, you kind of just need to keep doing more, like just do a little bit more. And that's exactly where we're at right now. Like, the way we grew from where we're at last year to where we're at today is a little bit more, a little bit better, a little bit more focus, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to keep doing that. But I see such an opportunity here. Not necessarily like with the community business. Like, I don't see a world where I want to have a 5,000-10,000 plus member community. That's not what I'm after. There's just we have strong product market fit. The things people talk about around Exit 5, like the demand from sponsors is there, new member growth, the connections and relationships and things people are getting out of the community is there. Every day I'm like, man, this is amazing. And people, when they come, like Dan and Matt, who came in the business and saw that, they're like, whoa, this is real. And Dan said to me, he's like, this thing has the same buzz that we had at the last 2 companies that we worked together. And like, this is real. This is so real. And I just keep thinking, okay, so I'm obsessed with this 10X thing. Like, it's easier to grow 10X because you need to like push yourself to not think of the small optimizations. You want to think of like what are the big ideas, right? And even if you don't grow, the goal is not to grow 10X, right? Let's say Exit 5 is a $2 million a year business right now. The goal is not to next year go to 20. But if you shoot for 10X, you're going to miss, and maybe you grow 6X. And it's like, so I really have been obsessed on this idea of like thinking about, what am I not seeing? What's the real lever and real opportunity here? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to Chris about. Just like, hey, am I thinking about this right? I have a couple of ideas about like what the next play should be. And really, I'll share it on this podcast. Like, I see Exit 5 today as a product and business that I'll continue to run. But I think there's a bigger wrapper here that I'm operating, which is more of like a holding company, where Exit 5 as you see it today is one part of that, but there might be thing 2 and thing 3, and I'm getting much closer to doing that. And man, I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. I think I really want to build a software product.
Okay. What type of software? Like marketing?
I have no idea.
software?
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
marketing. Marketing. Yep. And I don't know. I'm being vulnerable and telling people this and sharing this publicly, but we will make $1 million in revenue this year off of talking about other people's products. We should have our own product. And we should sell that product, right? And I don't want to do it just to make money. I want to do it because I'm passionate about it. I want to find something really interesting. And so I'm starting to think more like, okay, what are the spheres? And I wrote this book, Founder Brand, a couple of years ago, and I kind of just forgot about it. I got busy, did some other stuff, didn't really care about it. I still see people talking about it. And it was another thing that reminded me like, man, there's something here. I don't need to try to like monetize a golf podcast and do this thing. I just need to double down on this area. Like I have this written on a Post-it note on my desk, which is, Rory come on the pod, which is unique ability. Like what's your unique ability? And I think my unique ability is like, one, the ability to write and communicate and content. That's a thing. But then also what we've built, the audience and reputation and force that we have in this niche of B2B marketing. And so I'm like, yeah, imagine if we built an amazing tool. I don't know what that tool is. Imagine if we built a tool that like all of the people that listen to this podcast could use. Like that's the opportunity. And so I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's the type of stuff that I'm like pushing myself to think of. And it's so funny because, you and I have had many conversations where like 2 years ago, I was like, screw this. I want to shut it down. No more B2B marketing. I want to go live on a farm. But anyway, sorry to talk for so long. That's
how many years into this were you before you started hiring?
Technically 4. Like I started on Patreon in December of 2019. I rebranded it, repackaged it as Exit 5 in April of 22, so 2 years ago. And so it's like 2 years into the real business part of it before I decided to hire.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I started my thing the same way. It was like I wanted to get out of the city. I wanted to spend more time with family. I wanted to work on intellectually stimulating projects. And then 3 years in, it was like, okay, it's time to start hiring. And it was a similar kind of inflection point or piece of advice I had gotten. I forget who it was from. I think it was like probably somebody on VC Twitter who was essentially the same thing. It's just as easy to try to 10x as it is to try to maintain the same. And one of the people who's been a close advisor to our company, one of the first things he ever said to me, and it kind of fell on dull ears, because I wasn't ready to start hiring at that point, was if you're not growing, you're dying. And I didn't really understand what that was, because I think I was probably still in my first year of business. But if you're not growing, you're dying. Like, there's a lot of truth to that saying. It's not completely true. There are a ton of people who have great careers as consultants or running a lifestyle business that produces enough cash flow for them to live very comfortably. But to me, through my experiences, it's kind of rung true of you're spending just as much energy trying to just stay afloat as you are trying to grow and become a much bigger company. So
yeah, and I think I see how it's so easy to just get caught up in the whack-a-mole of like all of those little fires, and you never actually like take the next step. And I think hiring was a huge piece in me taking the next step. Also, I was so hesitant to like build a real business because my kids are, our kids are similar age. I had the opportunity to like work from home and be around a lot. And so I was like, I didn't want to like sacrifice that life. And I've just realized like, no, I'm in charge. Like we can build the business the way that I want, and we can build it around those things, and I can have both. And also, I'm creative and competitive. Like I need those things. I need this. And so I need those pockets of work to give me structure and like provide, some clarity for like, I love, like, I can't wait. It's you and I are recording this at like 2:30 on a Friday. after this podcast, I'm done. I'm shutting this stuff down and I'm done. I'm done for the afternoon, and we're going to go hang out and my kids will be home, and like I can just be home and still be excited about business. I think I was caught up in this like binary, like I either have to be at a 500 person company in an office or doing this. And I think I've gotten a lot of clarity on that. So I don't know for sure if we're going to do that, but that's the stuff that I'm starting to think about. And I don't want people listening to think that that's going to mean not investing in Exit 5. I don't see Exit 5 going anywhere. And that, in fact, I think Exit 5 is like the moat where the community, the podcast, the content, that's actually the strategic piece of that needs to keep growing, right? I just see it as like, man, so many other startup, like a new company could come in this space and they would kill to have the audience that we have and the engagement that we have. We just got to figure out what the right thing is to do. And turns out like we're also pretty good at marketing. And so if we can find the right product, and people have told me not to do this in the past. They're like, you have no idea what you're doing. You don't know how to build a software product. And you're right. I don't, but we have a budget, we have team, we have people like, yeah. I've seen much worse people find their way. So.
Have you thought about acquisition entrepreneurship?
Yes. Yes. So I think it's build or buy. Yeah. Uh-huh. And you and I should talk a lot about that. But it's tough. I see a lot of stuff out there and I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know how good this is. There's definitely a play though. And I know how you think. There's definitely a play of like, buying a business, making it better. That would be very strong out of the gate for sure.
Yeah. It's scary. I mean, I go on those sites all the time. I think that's like the new equivalent of buying a domain, right? You just you go browse on those sites.
There's no domains left.
Yeah, there are no. But you just go on those sites, you browse, you send it around, and you're like, hey, should we do this? Like, should? And then you're like, what's going to happen when I purchase this? Did somebody just like copy the front end UI of some other software, rebrand it, and now they're trying to sell it to me? Like,
I just don't like. I don't like when I don't know about something, which is I don't know about a lot of things, and it's like, am I going to put up $725,000 to like buy this thing? And then someone's like, well, actually, if you do this, you can only pay this and you only put this down. I'm like, there's just so much that I don't know that, you know what I mean?
That's my new favorite follow on Instagram. There's a guy who kind of breaks down the business advice he sees.
Let me just write some tweets and I'll be good. Like, let me write some copy and I'll be good. All right. Well, thanks. So we're thinking about that. And when I say we, I think like that's also what's cool about bringing like Dan into the business. I don't see him just as like operating at Exit 5. I think we have the opportunity to build a small team that will work on these things together. And I think that's like, it's not a team that just works on Exit 5. Like I see us building a team of 3 to 5 people that work on all of our businesses together. So we'll see. Also, the more that I see, it's like the business. You need the obstacle is the way. Like I want ultimate freedom. I want more time with my family. Like this is going to be the way to get that. Okay, I actually did some prep for this conversation today. So you said there's a lot going on in the world. I'm happy to talk about all the changes happening in marketing, Google cookies, Google and Bing using AI, the farce of AI generated content, and I'm actually just going to flip over and just going to put you on the hot seat and